Oh, Remy says he can get in for an hour or two.
Oh, I'd love to say. Oh,
hey, what's up?
Vaush. How you going, buddy?
Hello, Vaush.
I heard
Vaush.
Putin died falling down a flight of stairs. We won?
Yes.
Yes,
we
it's
won.
over.
Victory
Sorry,
is
everyone.
ours.
The content. I need to add you. I need to add your Fugi real quick. Let's see.
Yeah, bring Remy in as well. We might as well get
Vaush,
everyone
welcome
here.
to the clusterfuck.
Yeah, happy to be here for as long as my sick, dying throat can hold out.
Insane.
Pretty
It's been going around.
wacky stuff happening today, huh?
Yeah, I've been busy all day.
Oh man,
Goodness.
this is wild. This is wild.
perfect. This is because
my
I don't
God.
really. This is
No,
just
did I go?
forwarding my inevitable goal, my true content creation goal of being the internet's shittiest ARG.
I'm gonna have to
Where
stand.
I just show up in the background of your favorite content creator, completely unrelated to all the other content creators that I've encountered.
Remy, my guy, you've been streaming for several hours, and you're just
Hi,
like, man, I'm
Remy.
ready for round 2.
What's up? No, I'm not going round 2. I'm just here for an hour or so. I got a party soon that I got to bounce out for.
Nice.
And he's going to a party afterwards. What a chat.
Remy actually having a
Absolute
life.
mad lad.
Cringe.
Yeah, I mean, I got people on the outside to go talk to this. Turns out there's grass out there I've heard of, you know? I'm gonna go find
I'm
it.
saying it's grass. I've never heard of that.
Grass, yeah.
Ross.
No.
Good lord.
Have you seen
A
this?
long time ago, but it's been a while.
I only
$1,000
just
to end the
I only
war.
just got online. I'm catching up. You seen this thing, Lukashenko's jet?
Yep.
Doing a little
Yes.
do-si-do
Yeah.
over Turkey.
He's gone. I've heard the official response from Erdogan was sorry, only room for one dictator. Hang on, let me get Remy in here too. Do I have you?
He's
Remy?
standing. He's standing like.
I'm actively in here, what?
No.
You
Do I have?
mean on
Do
the
I have your?
stream? Oh,
Boogie.
okay.
Lukashenko is just standing in Ankara airport or Istanbul. He's like, I have potatoes, please.
They
let me in."
made him stand in the fucking like the foreigner line for passport. He just standing there awkwardly.
I have 2 visas.
I have 2 visas. I
But
also
I have
have
gift.
carrots.
Everything from duty free. Come on.
But I have gift. I don't understand. Trying
Let
to
me in.
bribe the poor Turkish guard is like, sir, that's not how this works.
I have a brand new Lada from my factory because my state-run factory still produced them.
I want that ice cream.
Oh my god! Good lord,
know, I'm looking at all this footage and I'm thinking to myself, if I was Vladimir Putin and I was in this situation, now we're still waiting for more confirmation. We still need more evidence. But let's for a moment believe that something really right now is going on in Rostov, buildings being taken. What is the move by Putin? Is it take Rostov back by force and go
He's gonna
engage
have
in
to.
open combat?
Well, here's the thing. If it had not come to open conflict, there could have been negotiations. There is no possibility for negotiations here, bro.
I don't know.
I think for
I think
Prigozhin, it's just
over.
the contract proposals from the Ministry of Defense were too encompassing. It took Prigozhin basically all of Prigozhin's power away. I don't know what there is to negotiate from Prigozhin's point of view because he's just negotiating like him losing power. Like no matter what, if he signs that contract, it's over for him. Really.
All right, we're gonna need to moderate this. I think.
I feel
Yeah,
like
we're going to
Putin
have
might
to.
be kind of hoping for a both sides situation, right? Because if Putin's looking for some kind of like plausible deniability in like easing off the Ukraine conflict, it's like, oh, no, actually, I've been loyal to the Russian people the whole time. The Ministry of Defense, of course, was feeding lies to me because they're evil and they conscript soldiers and they don't care about you. And Putin was just, following the info he was given. Maybe he's holding back because like the Wagner group could kind of do this like ultra-nationalist bent and Putin could go like, well, thank you for revealing the deception of the MOD to me. Now that I know this, of course, we will, you know what I mean? Like, I feel the reason he's being quiet and not like raining hell on them from the Kremlin is because, he's kind of hoping they win, but he has to put up like a pretense, you know?
I think
All
it
right,
doesn't
all right.
matter which side wins. Either way, the Ukraine war is pretty much leading to an end at this point. I don't see
Yeah.
any way, even assuming, let's say Wagner gets completely defeated, they're completely fucked up, destroyed, which I will make a point about. I don't think that's going to happen. But even if that happens, at that point, you're now talking about a Russian army that has just had to fight itself and is now returning to fighting Ukraine, who is currently also attacking. And somehow you're going to try and keep these soldiers inspired to fight a war when their own country just turned on itself.
That's
not going to happen.
Best case scenario, it would have disrupted logistics immensely.
Yeah, and immensely, especially with Rostov being a thing. But what I wanted to mention real quick is I don't think we're going to see Wagner get stopped at any point until serious military units get deployed, because the Rosbrigada that they're facing are the same guys who got mauled in Kharkiv, and they're basically being asked as effectively slightly upgunned police officers to, stop a military column of the best soldiers that Russia has to offer.
All right, just before we go any further, just because there are now so many people here, I'm going to impose Twitch martial law. I'm just so we don't talk over one another, because I've seen that, because I don't want to turn this into noise. So, Kitty, you had something to say?
Yeah. Someone blocked off the roads to the Rostov airport.
Ooh, spicy.
That's fun.
All right.
Yeah.
Who wants to comment on that?
No
one.
No. It's not much to say about the airports right now.
I don't really have anything to say about it other than what air defense doing? I get.
Well, that's the thing. Who in the Russian military will even want to fight them, right? Because like the Ministry of Defense, they all come across as a bunch of like old party fat bureaucratic loyalists who don't actually like they exude the, like, I'm willing to let 10,000 men die for my glory energy. Whereas the Wagner guy, like, obviously the Wagner guy's a huge piece of shit. I'm not defending him in any way, but the rhetoric.
For all of us here, I don't think any of us are here like, man, Wagner's actually pretty good.
Yeah, like based Wagner. No. Just he does this like radical ultranationalist, like I care for the blood of the people bullshit. And they I don't know who's gonna fight them. Like, who wants to fight that? The Russian military doesn't have morale. Why would they fight that?
I would like to just say with a caveat, that is what it looks like to some of them. Remember, Russia is literally a sea of disinformation, so that you don't know what to believe. What they believe in is literally going to depend on who's fucking telling them what. You might have completely different units of the Russian military believing completely different things.
How many Russian conscripts watch the Laserpig YouTube channel? We can get some numbers on this, find out where
they're... Hey, don't fucking bring
Everyone
me
just
into
starts
this.
like, hey guys, support Wagner. Yeah. Probably shouldn't, just for monetization reasons, but
we're gonna see liberals do that. Though we're gonna see some
see
politicians gonna be like, we reach an arm of solidarity out to the people
Absolutely,
of Wagner who are helping.
Happen.
Right? Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Revive the White Army.
Actually, to touch on that, there's something I really wanted to say was Prigozhin. One of the main messages he's been sending out recently is that, hey, I would never use nukes. People who use nukes are insane. I'm not going to use nukes. And in fact, actually, last night I was talking to some of my guys, and I was like, with what he keeps saying about, the nukes and stuff, I don't see a coup as being unlikely, because he's trying to position himself as, look, I'm the guy who's not going to use nukes, and Putin is the guy who keets saying he is going to use nukes. You want to back me, right?
Yeah, no, because that's what all the elites are afraid of. Elites are afraid of being turned to ash with all their money.
His other messages are like, man, they're getting our guys killed unnecessarily. They're sending our guys in without any help. He's all about, man, they're killing us. The MOD are the ones who are killing our soldiers. We better fight against them.
To be fair, though, that is literally what you would expect a coup plotter to say. That is literally the line
exactly.
every
I just
coup
think
person has said
I think
in
it's
history.
the right thing for him to say. I very much, whether he believes it or not, whether he's truthful or not, that's what he needs to say in order to win the coup.
Or even have a chance of it. That being
have
said,
a chance. Yes.
That being said, coups you never get every single person to side with you in a coup. And I do not think that is going to be the case.
But you kill the rest, of course.
Most of the MOD is probably not going to side with him.
Man.
Because a lot of the MOD is literally like, wow, he's going to kill us if he wins.
I'm sure, though. We'll see consistency. We're going to see Michael Tracy. We're going to see all these people. Jackson will come out. They're going to come out and they're going to say, in order for peace, in the pursuance of peace, we're going to need to negotiate and make concessions to Wagner, okay? We need peace now. That's what's important.
Well, right now, they're calling the Wagner thing like a CIA coup.
How many of them are going to say, like, we should back the Russian MOD over Wagner? Like, I'm waiting for that take.
That is good. I want to see what sides the Russia supporters in America chose.
I've been seeing them say that Wagner is like a CIA asset and that they're actually turning on Russia, like they've been bought.
Okay,
you guys
Vaush,
are missing. You guys,
need to jump in here.
you guys are all missing
yeah.
the real authority who's going to speak up. I'm waiting for Armchair Warlord to explain to me how this is good for Russia, actually.
Okay. Okay. I'm jumping in here.
Armchair Warlord to make a
Oh.
fucking video where he explains how this is all part of Putin's master plan.
Master plan. No, I need to get in here with Vaush because Vaush and I come from similar angles in our YouTube and creator careers. Vaush. So back in the old days, you probably remember we had critical support for ISIS. We had critical support for Assad. So now do we have critical support for Wagner?
Well, obviously, anything that advances or opposes the American, whatever's funniest at the time. Obviously, we critically support that because
that is
to
the
laugh
correct way
is
to
to
run
live,
things.
right? And that's right. So if you don't want to laugh, it's like you want to die. You're pro-death. You're a death cult, which ISIS definitely isn't.
The Italian Spartacist League just coming out with critical support for Wagner.
For the record, by the way. For the record, by the way, can I say this now because I'm seeing opinions in chat. Leave your usual politics at the door, folks. This is not the place for any of us to fight over what our opinions are. We are here joined together at this lovely Twitch channel for one thing and one thing only: laughing at Russia.
The downfall of communism,
Me in
the defeat
Moscow.
of the Russian Federation.
I would say that laughing at Russia involves laughing at tanks at this point, but anyway.
On this, we are all
By the
agreed.
way, can we also just emphasize quick that if Rostov is being taken by Wagner, Rostov is a city of over 1 million people.
That's a lot.
That's double the size of Baltimore. It's like
Also
it's
the
Russia's
main
11th
logistical
largest
hub
city.
for
Yep.
the,
For Donetsk and
Russian
Luhansk.
forces.
For Donetsk and Luhansk, absolutely.
How many
At
people
that
lived in
point-
Slavansk when Gherkin took it over with what? 70 guys? 100,000?
What was it? Oh,
You know-
when Gherkin had a bit more than 70 guys. There was also different revolutions going on at the time.
No. In Slavansk itself.
Not sure. Hold on.
I genuinely feel like they're not even going to fight back. Really, I don't even think they're going to.
Here's the thing: even if Wagner does nothing fucking else, right, besides take control of Rostov, that's already game the fuck over. They have stopped the logistics, and knowing what we know about urban combat from the literal year and a half we've watched this, it will take nothing less than a sizable Russian force pulled off the front line to dislodge them.
And that's the problem right now is if the Russians pull something off the front line, the Ukrainians go, "Yay!"
Well, the thing is,
And
not
if they-
only
Oh, sorry, go on.
Don't
Sorry,
mind if
can-
we do.
not only are they pulling from the front line, but Wagner's pulling from the front line potentially as well. So you got two
Not
major forces.
Not
pulling.
entirely.
No, because Wagner has actually redeployed ahead of this. That's part of the reason why we thought a coup was coming.
Oh, that makes
Wagner,
sense.
there were some Wagner remnants around Bakhmut, and that's why I'm seeing reports that the Ukrainians are actually pushing in Bakhmut right now, because they saw the Russians start shooting at each other.
For the most
Probably not
part,
a good
if
morale
saw
boost
the
for those
Bakhmut-
guys fighting, huh?
It was
Go
a
ahead.
case of I was saying that after Bakhmut, the Wagner pulled out. That's when they did that whole thing where they ceremonially handed over to the army, and they also shit talked them at the same time. Right around that time, I was thinking, it's somewhat odd. There was basically a build up, especially of mercenaries returning from Africa. So they were pretty much Wagner was pulling everything back into Russia, and
Oh, Lord.
I think we now know why, obviously. But no, I was gonna say, fucking hell, my visit was very carefully timed. I drove over the Dnipro the day before the dam blew, and and I got out of the country a little bit before the coup starts. So
Well,
yeah,
that's
fucking-
you deserve every bit of props for that, by the way, Rippy. Like,
You made it out just in
Yes.
time to avoid the secession of Western Russia from the imperialist forces of non-Western Russia. We're reaching the final timeline, which is where we get the Balkans too, of 78 microscopic ethno-states of Wagner, and like it's like the gradient of everyone who's not fully Russian but kinda, and it's just like they're constantly fighting with each other over the same stretch of potatoes and tundra.
I have two messages
If there
from
was
chat I want
anywhere
to
that I was
highlight.
going to get, go on, yeah.
First off, am I being racist against Aussies, or is that Remy?
I'm just happy that I'm no longer the only Australian in here. Thank God. I'm the only
Secondly-
one.
worries.
my lovely mod Umlaut, who you should all go
Yeah.
follow because he's great. He really doesn't think the coup will succeed. Putin will just send in Steven Seagal to single-handedly take back the city while sitting down. It's true. It's true.
no, it's
We
just-
forgot.
I'm going on record to say that Steven Seagal is a traitor to the free world, and yeah, don't watch his
Steven-
movies.
Fair.
He's
Fair,
also
fair.
a gigantic, pathetic piece of shit, dude. He's absolutely insane.
He hasn't made a good movie since what, like 1987?
He's never made a good movie. He's been in some good movies to begin with, but like he's never made good movies.
No.
Good. I'm just finding it kind of funny that the closest I've ever come to being hit with a nuclear missile was in the last few weeks. I'm in Australia. We're never going to get hit in the first place. So right then, I hit the timing just right to get out before everything goes to hell.
We've all watched We've all watched End of the World, you know, an internet class.
yeah.
Like we know how the apocalypse is gonna happen.
I love that one where Australians just sit there suicidal after the rest of the world kills itself. We're like, what the fuck do we do now?
But they'll be dead soon. Fucking kangaroos.
It's actually interesting.
kangaroos.
The very first piece of I think like post-apocalyptic fiction that made it into movie form was On the Beach back in the 90s.
On the Beach. Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
it's the first
Fantastic
one,
movie.
but that is literally a movie about nukes
Never
going off
seen
around
it.
the world, and so eventually nukes go off around the world, whole nuclear war. Australia's left okay, but the problem is, and this is something that I don't believe is actually truly scientific, but they say radiation is in the air and it's going to get carried down to Australia, and we're all going to die of radiation after a certain time, and the whole
Yes.
movie's just bleak as fuck. Like
Oh,
it's
Like,
horrible.
Everybody's killing themselves and like going into race cars.
Well, I think
matches,
I think we should affirm to the more anxious viewers that it is highly unlikely that anything happening here results in nuclear action.
Let me be authoritative because my yes, guys, the
Yeah.
chances of nuclear war have been and will remain incredibly remote. This is
Yeah.
because all of the people who are in charge of the nukes also don't want to die and have all of their money and stuff be evaporated.
Yeah.
It is unlikely. Also, consider the fact that it takes as much as Russia's entire military budget to maintain the US's just nuclear arsenal. Now, Russia has been in the throes of a nonstop corruption jamboree for about the last 30 years. And what is the most unlikely thing to ever need to be tested?
Yeah.
Okay,
And
I
actually,
also-
speaking of the testing, she just really quick touch on that. The last time they tried to launch a missile, it failed.
It blew up,
that
didn't
was
it?
it was the nuclear test during the Ukrainian war. It was actually, I think, about 6 months ago. They announced they were doing it, and then they quickly hid the fact that they did it, and it failed.
The Sarmat, their first major field test of the Sarmat 2 went tits up. And that's the other thing I would like to point out. I did some research back then, since our last stream that we did. It's worse because I confirmed all of Russia's intercontinental ballistic missiles are liquid fueled Soviet models. They're still liquid fueled. They're not
Still,
which means they have to defuel them and reprime the fuel lines and then refuel them, and they have to be pre-fueled before they're ready for
and
combat.
if they didn't do that even once, those
and
rockets are fucked.
liquid fueled rockets are 3 times the maintenance of solid fueled ones.
Yeah, and if you leave the fuel in them, it corrodes the lines. It corrodes everything.
It can't fire. No. So we have to basically assume that the reason Russia's army is failing is because their entire budget has gone to the nuclear arsenal, or the nuclear
Or
arsenal.
the opposite.
Yeah.
We can
really struggle
safely
with just how
assume
small of a
that
budget the Russians actually
the
have.
liquid fuel that would have propelled those ICBMs has since been sold off to be like dirt cheap alcohol for Russian conscripts. Like they can't
Wagner
get
accused of stealing fuel. Wagner was accused of like mass stealing of fuel. What if they just siphoned all the nukes?
literally like some Vodnik in a tank top with like the rubber hose in his mouth, like sucking it out of a gigantic ICBM and like putting it in little hip flasks.
What do you got there, Wagner? A smoothie.
I have a good fun night.
Assembly facility.
Wait, is
Guys,
that
live
arena
map is
lit?
being DDoSed.
What?
Who's?
Live maps being DDoSed.
Oh,
yeah, that's fairly often. That happens every now and then.
yeah. Well, to be
Yeah.
fair, the Russians don't know what's going on. This is literally probably the equivalent, the cyber warfare equivalent of just someone going, fuck, fire everything! Just start shooting, you bastards!
So TASS, the state news agency in Russia, has just named the people who are around those buildings in Rostov as definitely being Wagner fighters. So it looks like
So they've
Wagner's
taken
got-
what?
Most likely they've got Rostov because they're at the headquarters right
They're
now.
not-
They're
they're
in a
not-
standoff.
They're not the only one that confirmed. I think Anna Lip, which is a pro-Russian German journalist, pro-invasion journalist, she's also on the ground
she
in
the one
Rostov,
doing
and,
the
and she
selfie?
confirmed it. Yeah, she was
Hey,
the one doing the
Yeah, I
selfie
saw
video.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what?
I saw that one.
You know what? I just thought of something, guys. They can take one of the a way they can
Sorry, I
get
just saw something
White
funny.
Wagner out with one fell swoop. Just nuke Rostov. It's
I mean,
genius.
I mean, the only thing
Hates
I have a
comment
concern
zero.
about the big reason. Well, the last time I did a deep dive, their maintenance cycle is still up the shitter. I mean, they've lost 4 MiG-31s to accidents within the past 3 months now. But the only issue I have is Wagner is well deep inside the Russian integrated air defense network. So if the Russians decide to get serious, they can lay down. They haven't been able to deploy much of their ordnance because their aircraft can't get into Ukraine. So if they really wanted to get serious with taking out Wagner, they definitely could. The only issue is, of course, Wagner has a considerable number of pilots flying for the Russian Air Force. So it's going to be air power that decides this if Russia decides to get
Well,
serious.
and you have to assume, if the Wagner group is like putting any planning into this, that the Wagner guys at every level of the Russian military, to the high level of integration they've enjoyed, have been, talking to the people around them. Hey, the Ministry of Defense sure doesn't seem to have our best interests at heart. Hey, wow, those conscripts sure are dying en masse in Ukraine with unlike a barely... Hey, they are lying about the start of the war, right? Like, we know that. We all know that. We're adults here, right? And like, I don't know. Because this is a morale thing at the end of the day. And the Ministry of Defense, every sign we've seen from day one to now is that the Russian army is severely lacking in it. And the Wagner people are fucking insane. And it just gives me the impression that, like, morale decides the day here, right? A convincing and articulate man in a crowd of 100 can turn the whole crowd to his side if he speaks loudest. It's, I don't know. Like, what do
Someone's calling this the day of the long... sorry, the day of the heavy sledgehammers.
Jesus.
It's like, what do we think? What do you guys think? So,
dark, bro.
real talk though, like aspirationally, say Prigozhin, maybe Putin does or doesn't stay, whatever. But let's say he has some clout now. The Ministry of Defense is ousted. What does he want? What's going to happen? Obviously, the Ukraine thing is done.
I think most likely the answer is he uses the, oh, look, the MOD lied, the MOD fucked us over. We totally could have won, but the MOD fucked us. That's why I'm going to make the brave decision to take our men home and, peace. And effectively, the end result is Russia is now, whether or not Putin is still in
The German World War I thing again.
It is.
It's kind of a state of, we're at peace now. We've taken over. We're going to put an end to the war, and it ends up with Prigozhin in charge. He's got his power. The war is over because, frankly, I think, as he's well aware, he has no chance of winning. He's not going to go back and try and fight it. That is ridiculous. Assuming he took over the country, if he went back to try and fight it, he'd just lose, and that would then put a massive shame on his new government dictatorship, whatever takes over.
I worry for the long term because this is fully the German World War I thing again, where it's like, we were going to win, but then we were betrayed by powerful people within our institutions who betrayed the blood in the motherland. And like, I've seen that one play out before.
Oh, I've seen it.
I've said it before. I'll say it again 1,000,000 times. History doesn't repeat, but it very often rhymes.
I like
What's
that.
interesting is by pulling this stunt, Wagner has now caused so many issues. They spent 10 months fighting for Bakhmut, and now there's a very good chance the Ukrainians will take it within the next couple of weeks.
If that, cannot. This is the reason why none of us thought this was going to happen. I think is because this is literally a worst case scenario for Russia.
Yeah.
Like we expected something to go wrong.
The only other thing that could be,
you think we can get a Yeltsin
is
too?
like NATO joins in. Like that. That's like the level of terrible that we're at for Russia. And frankly, if anything, I think NATO joining in would be less bad than Russia turning on itself. Because at this point, if NATO joined in, at least Russia could still put up a unified front. At this point, Russia is fighting with itself, and in the real lines of its own army. Like, what the fuck do you think those guys are thinking? They're now facing the. Go on.
No, we are looking at unless this is resolved in the next 24 hours and everyone just agrees to like get back to business as usual, which isn't going to happen. right?
I don't believe
But
so either.
unless it somehow resolves itself, Russia, whether it likes it or not, is now at civil war.
Yeah.
And the longer it
Yeah.
goes on, and the more fucky things get, the greater the chance of the thing that people have talked about is Russia balkanizing.
We just need to do neoliberalism too, okay? The shock doctrine. Listen, okay? It nearly ruined Russia the first time. Let's go for twofer, all right? We're going to neoliberalize harder than ever before. Every single corner shop will be owned by one oligarch. It'll be perfect. There will be no problems with this plan.
The oligarchs will rise again.
It's oligarch single. It's one guy. He's the world's first trillionaire. McDonald's on every corner. Every American business gets excellent deals and tax breaks working there. It's a utopia. It's perfect. It's exactly what we need right now.
Hey, look, I just want a piece of the Siberian, the Far East, just so we can finally build the Bering Strait Bridge. That's all I want. I want to see the Bering Strait Bridge. It would be so cool. Come on, please.
I really want to see the ultimate scenario with Lukashenko hovering over the change team button.
I have always been interested in joining European Union. Your deals are so good. Yeah.
You have been auto balanced to the blue team.
Potato Man seizes those nukes he just got and he turns on Moscow. It's like, ha!
You know, I think I hear the strains of Italian music coming from coming from Belarus. I mean, to be fair, if he fled to Turkey, Luka, if that's true, like there's like, look, funny is funny, right? But if that actually is Luka's plane, and he just ran his ass off to Erdogan, who is, let's be honest, the most Russia.
He's not even a fucking
friendly
ally. He's not an ally. He's
He's an
literally
ally
doing like the Tito shit, modern day.
He is he's our pet dictator, basically. He is an ally of convenience and nothing more, right?
Yeah.
But the West has dealt with stuff like that for the entirety of our existence, right? It was Tito before that, because yes, Tito was a communist, but he was our communist who hated the Soviets. You know, like things like that, shit like that. It's the same sort of scenario here, but that is absolutely who Lukashenko would run to if he was trying to get some kind of okay, I'll do what you want, but you need to save me. That would be the case.
I think it's most likely he is just going to stay out until it's clear who's winning. You know, you never want to pick a
100%.
side early in a situation like this.
Oh, you don't want to, yeah, but which means if he's taking a quick jaunt, he's 100% looking out for himself, which also indicates that he will absolutely betray Putin at the first opportunity if it means saving himself.
Oh, he's been a puppet the whole time. Yeah, he's nothing. There's nothing to gain by like opposing him ideologically. If he flips, he flips.
Yeah.
He's sitting here, he's waiting for his moment. That's why we haven't seen Belarus commit. And yeah, I think at the time of our so-called quote disinformation stream, we said it, like some of our Belarusian friends that we know said that if a free Belarusian legion invaded Belarus, there actually probably would have been a popular uprising.
It's not unlikely is the thing. It's the thing, because everyone in Belarus fucking hates him.
Oh, they hate.
Yep.
They hate him.
The only reason he didn't get toppled in 2020, I think that was when the uprising was. It 2019? I don't remember. What year did it happen? The popular uprising? It was because Putin sent in troops to crush them.
Did you see what Jackson Hinkle just said? He just released his take, by the way.
Oh, God.
Let me read it.
God.
He's a serious political commentator, and I'm kind of disgusted you guys are instantly shutting down ideas from the other side of the table. Now, please, now feed me this dreck, please.
Okay.
MAGA
Okay, here is MAGA communist Jackson Hinkle, Putin friend, ally. Okay. Prigozhin met with Putin a few days ago. Prigozhin wants Gerasimov and Shoigu out. Prigozhin stated this is not a coup. Prigozhin is staging a non-violent seizure of partial...
Oh my god. Prigozhin on a
I
helicopter.
think that's really non-violent.
Yeah.
I believe him.
Guys, it's all a big misunderstanding. The little green men just went to the wrong city. Don't you see?
Those are Nerf guns, sir. Nerf guns.
Nerf gun. Bullets of friendship.
Prigozhin is staging a non-violent seizure of partial military power to achieve his goal of restructuring the Russian MOD. This has always been the most likely reality. If not, this could be an op. The odds this is a coup against Putin are 0%.
Well, the
bro.
problem from Hinkle's perspective is that he hasn't yet decided which side he wants to imply are Jews. So it's confused until like he hasn't wait because like the Soros coin could fall either way.
Yeah.
So he's waiting to see like how that pans out.
Hey, do you think
when
that
they start calling Wagner the Nazis now? Oh, the Russians start calling Wagner the Nazis.
Yeah.
It's gonna get really confusing. Who am I
it's
fighting?
the fire.
how many non-violent plumes of smoke do you think are rising in non-violent cities?
The fire hose of falsehood that Russia has so deftly wielded against all of their enemies is literally about to be turned on itself, right? It's like putting a thumb over the end of the hose. It's going to go everywhere. It's going to look ridiculous. Speaking of, by the way, the whole Jewish thing. This is from I think last week. I love the part where Putin was implied he's not even really a Jew, right? And I think it was an Israeli newspaper responded with an article naming him as one of the top 50 most influential Jews in the world, and they were like, "Yes, we're very proud of him." And I'm just like, God, what shade!
Hey, Vaush, it's been 7 years. I'm still waiting for my Soros check. Have you got yours yet?
No,
Oh,
man, it's crazy. It's starting to give me the feeling this whole thing's made up.
Yeah, I know, right? I went out
Sounds
and did
like a
the whole
conspiracy
thing.
theory.
I did the whole thing. I protested. I did all that, and all I got was nothing.
The conspiracy theory that Soros doesn't exist and pay all the left-leaning media online.
He
Crazy
did
there's a
put
single source of funding for every source of liberal media ever.
The funny thing is that Soros actually had a really prominent hand in the shock doctrine neoliberalization of Russia after the fall of the Soviet Union on both sides.
Yeah, I know.
Because he was
so funny.
Yeah, he was in there neoliberalizing, and then he was the guy he was one of the first guys who was like, wait, hold on. This is actually really bad, and then stop. So he's been it's incredible. He's spent his entire career making as many enemies as possible from every direction.
He tries, but
we love a small billionaire being who tries.
There's some more news here. Basically, if you guys haven't already heard, Prigozhin basically said that his convoys were targeted by aircraft, but the pilots refused to commit the airstrikes.
Oh my god!
Effectively, they were saying that that they were surrounded by civilian cars at the time. Now, whether or not this is true,
bullshit.
I don't know. But I think if it is true, obviously, I mean, regardless of what he's saying, that's a very good thing to say. Because if another pilot hears, wait a second, my comrades are refusing to,
he's such a, and then they all clapped poster, right?
Yeah,
we're
that is some
however,
with tears in
he
my
has
eyes.
just named the planes that are currently airborne.
Huh?
So,
which are
yes, he's a 523 and 546. Which I'd like to talk to my guys and see if we know which one those are.
And I saw the pilots clapping through the window as they did the low fly.
Well, my favorite was at the start when he said that when they crossed the border and the border guards hugged them. That was my favorite.
I don't think the border guards hugged them, but the border guards very clearly let them pass because no
the border
guard is going to try and
jumped
stop
into
them.
the fucking bushes as you would normally do when a fucking armored column is rolling towards you.
It's not 353, it's 523, chatter.
Breaking news, popcorn
And
shortage in Ukraine
546.
threatens to diminish the joy of this flusterfuck. Here's my guess, is they were probably commanded because they were assets on station to try to reconnoiter the column, right? They probably weren't told yet to airstrike them, right? Because
possibly, I think what's far more likely is that he probably does know this because, again, like we said, Wagner has aviation and they share air bases with the MOD. I imagine those guys are having a very weird morning.
Very rough talk around the water cooler right now at these air bases. So
I think it's a non-zero chance that he does know what aircraft took off. If he's naming the actual numbers, I'm interested to see if we confirm.
Guys,
go on.
One of the crossroads directly north of Rostov now has a massive traffic jam all four ways.
okay,
people are fleeing.
Right.
I take it. I mean, I would. Fuck it.
No, it's a four-way traffic jam.
That sounds
They
like
sealed the road. They sealed the road.
they sealed the road. They're trying to contain them. Go ahead.
I'm starting to disbelieve Bazookins knows what aircrafts are chasing him because I've just been told that the aircraft at the tail number 523 is an SU-57.
SU-57. Then probably. Oh well. I mean, if it's inside of Russia,
It is
They
inside
have-
of Russia.
that's
so...
a good
And
point.
also,
That's the only place
to
they
be
would use
fair,
them.
to be 100% fair on that one, I wouldn't even think that'd be a bad idea to deploy them right now because the Su-57 is the only aircraft you can possibly know for absolute certain is a Russian MOD aircraft and not a Wagner craft.
That's true.
Because
That's a good point.
Wagner doesn't have Su-57s. They have what?
They have 27s and they have MiG-29s.
And
They
they
have
also have 25s.
27s.
Su-25s are their primary ground attack aircraft.
They do have 25s, don't they?
Oh
Yeah.
god. Okay, so Chad is starting to salivate at the idea of the first time the Su-57 actually sees combat is against Russia itself.
Guys, there's another roadblock on the
Oh,
battle
yeah? What's
between
this one?
Voronezh Oblast and Rostov Oblast. It's literally on the border, following M4 north all the way straight.
Oh god, do you guys remember when that accidental transponder fucked up and we thought a Su-57 landed in London?
Yes.
Do you think this?
I
Do you
don't
think this?
remember that.
It was a helicopter that accidentally, they clearly used it for training on like an Su-57 signature or something. They had like a beacon on a helicopter. We
Yeah.
finally tracked that down. What if we actually get to see an Su-57 defect at this point? Lands in Poland and be like, nope.
Should Zelensky hire Wagner as part of the broader military attack
Wait.
against Russia? Is this his
Only
chance?
if-
Couldn't
only
they be
if
integrated
agree.
into the Russian Free Legion?
Only if they agree to switch all of their patches over to that parody patch that says like the Femboy Kisser Legion.
You can switch it
Oh,
from
yeah.
Wagner
Like,
to like Banderite, and then like Kablamo. You
Well-
keep the Hitler particles, but on the whole other side. I think personally, I think that the Wagner group is in like an unstoppable position, right? Because what are you going to do? You arrest all of them for treason, and then it's like, whoa, they're all like recruited prisoners, right? They just re-recruit you right after being arrested. It's unstoppable. It's like an undying legion.
Well, no, hold on. Wagner's
Bulletproof.
prisoner recruitment has been curtailed for a long time. That's one.
Yeah,
of
They
the
all
been
go.
long
They all go.
dudes.
50,000 dudes gets arrested, put in one prison, and then one Wagner guy's like, "Hey, do you want to go like be Wagner again?" They're like, "Yeah, okay, out," and then out of prison, and it keeps happening.
No. But to be clear, Wagner has been banned from doing that. They were banned a while ago.
the
like
MOD wanted
6,
all
8
those
months
prisoners,
ago,
right?
Yeah, they
They wanted all
the regular military wanted all the rapists and murderers.
That's
They were running out. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what started. I think that was actually the friction point that started the rift,
Yeah.
Oh no, there
that-
was a rift before, but
but not like this.
I think that was definitely that was one of their first major steps towards restricting Wagner's power because they were aware that Wagner was massively increasing in size.
They
just
couldn't
by
even
mass
wait
recruiting.
until after
The same
war
shit happened
to
in
start the power
Sudan.
struggle.
Like last month, this
Man.
happened in Sudan, right? It's the same thing. You can't have two armies. You
Yep.
shouldn't have. You
Nope.
should have one
Yep.
army, not two.
Well, that's the problem when you're a dictator and you have one army. What happens when that army doesn't like you? It's
You gotta have your own personal one.
Here's the thing, though. Ukraine has put themselves in the best possible position to take advantage of this. Literally, they held most of their shit in reserve for so far in the counteroffensive, right?
As much as I do love our boys over there, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say probably a happy accident rather than
Oh no,
intentional.
I'm not saying it was intentional. I'm not saying it was
Yeah.
intentional at all. No. Unless it's true that the Ukrainian MOD, what's their secret service, right?
SEQ?
Unless they literally it's true that they blew so much sunshine up Prigozhin's ass that they goaded him into this, which is a conspiracy theory, but it'd be funny.
Hey guys, you know how we were saying we wonder how deep the political cope on Twitter is going to go?
How bad?
I'm posting this in shit talking without comment.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
The fact that you're all
Chad.
laughing at this shows how much of sheep you all are. You don't even entertain the possibility that everything that has ever happened is to distract you from Hunter Biden.
Oh, it literally just says the Prigozhin
That's
coup
pretty good.
attempt is just an attempt to distract you from the latest Hunter Biden revelations. Don't fall for it. Do you know what the most important? First off, I do not give a fuck about. What does he have to do with anything? Do you know what the
Yeah.
best revelation I got out of Hunter Biden is? It's finding out that his cock is apparently enormous.
He's a busy
Because
big
that was
boy.
a very
Yeah.
that was very important for them
It
to
can't be
post
that big.
pictures about.
Well,
No,
that's
they have
American
pictures.
conservatism. It's they win by posting more Hunter Biden hung cock photos.
Literally.
No, every week we get a drop of some conservative being like, more photos found of him with hot models, naked, fucking big, and all the cons are like, dude, holy shit, it's over for Hunter, it's over for the Biden crime family, and we just get this every week.
It's the guy, look, he does a ton of drugs and sleeps with some of the most attractive women on the planet, and his penis is huge. I'm like, do you understand how to talk someone down? Like, I don't think you understand how this works.
I'm voting for Hunter.
That's what I'm saying. We need him to run, man.
I'd have a beer with Hunter.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he just kicks in the door of the White House and just rips the biggest line off the shoulder of one of the Marine guards. Oh, we're ready to go.
The 80s are back, boys.
So I have some unconfirmed reports coming across my desk. And
Best kind.
Again,
Please
they're
do.
unconfirmed, so take it with a Titanic-sized mountain. Yes.
Of course.
I will
Just
not.
for the record,
I really do need to restock my salt supply. So
a reminder that all of this is speculation. We know as much as you do. We are literally just following the news as it comes in.
All of this is parody.
So supposedly, there are preparations being made in case they have to blow the bridges across the Oka River in Moscow.
The Oka River.
Yes.
that's kind of a big deal. Just saying.
So I need one of you to make like the most grimy Rust player, and I need one of you to sneak down to the Oka River, to those bridges, and I need you to sit there with a transponder and try every frequency until you figure out which one blows up the bridge.
These are some big bridges.
I didn't fully hear that. Were you saying that they've blown the bridges, or they're
No.
planning to?
They're preparing for the possibility of blowing.
These are large bridges.
Yeah, I'm half on that. Like that.
This
I
isn't
think
like a
it's
little
most likely
arch.
They're going to,
Again,
yeah.
I'm saying it's unconfirmed. For all we know, they could be, setting up the wiring, and that's it.
It could be. It could be.
mean-
I'm just saying, if someone did manage to figure out what frequency they were using for the remote detonators, it would be really funny.
Hey,
no.
man, I press the button first. I'd be the first in line to press the button. Just saying.
But yes, most of these bridges, they're about 107 kilometers. Actually, all of them are about 107 kilometers as the crow flies away from the Kremlin. So call it 100 kilometers from the center of Moscow. And go on.
Oh, I'm seeing a video from 8 minutes ago saying Russia military columns rushing from Azov to Rostov-on-Don. These are likely Russian units that switched to Prigozhin's side. The last part is, of course, speculation, but apparently there are some Russian army forces that are running back to Rostov, which, if they were pulled from the front lines to deal with Wagner, that's really bad. And if they are joining Wagner, that's also really bad.
Oh,
So,
there is no
actually-
good scenario here, frankly.
Hold on. There is a military base in the actual town of Azov, so that's where they may be coming from. So
Yeah, just because I saw one guy in chat get confused. It's not Azov, the Ukrainian unit, moving to help them. Some guy said like, "Oh, I saw Azov is joining Wagner to help them attack Moscow." Like, that's not happening.
But it could.
That is completely insane. God. Okay, first we'll have to get through the front lines. Then they can talk about joining Wagner.
Oh, this is from Sushko, who apparently Dylan has said's a bad source, so don't believe it, don't trust it.
Yeah, look,
Sushko is a LARPer, basically. The only reason he's
me too.
useful, we've been over this, is the fact that he literally religiously posts things. He's a great content aggregator, right? Because he's so desperate for attention, he posts everything he can find on Telegram almost immediately. But he's been LARPing through the entire war. He's not a good source.
Gotcha. So we have a
lot of
video
people on
of tanks driving down a road then. That's what we have.
Effectively, yes.
Okay.
So, oh wow. Okay, there's a picture. I'll post this actually. This is from Nexter. That's very interesting. It's all of the cops having what I can only assume is a very important meeting as to whether or not they're going to try to arrest Wagner.
Oh, fuck this. Fuck this job. Oh my god.
Again, it's another reason why I don't think the Rosvigadi is going to put up any serious resistance. They got butchered in Kharkiv when they were told to hold the line. You know, oh, it's a quiet sector. You never have to worry. All of the sudden, Battle of the Bulge style, the Ukrainians show up and just turn these poor, effectively upgunned cops into
Flight RFF 82251 has apparently leaving Moscow.
Here's a
That's
question.
Putin's plane, isn't it? Allegedly.
What kind of plane is it?
Look it up. Someone says allegedly the Vulture has fled from
Registration,
Moscow.
please.
RFF 82251. I don't believe it. I don't
Probably
believe it.
Ilyushin or something. Yeah.
Pretty early to flee too, right? Like
very early to
yeah,
flee.
they're nowhere
Yeah.
near.
Very, very early.
It would
Here's the
take at
thing.
least 24 hours.
Here's the thing, though. If you take a look at Voronezh right now,
Yeah.
the road, the highway, the M4 highway, it appears that there are multiple roadblocks, and the road is basically completely blocked off as it tries to go around the city. So you basically have to force your way through the city to continue along the highway, only to run into further roadblocks further north of the city.
I mean,
saw
again, just considering that this is a 14-hour drive in the first place, right? Like, it's not a quick trip from Rostov to Moscow. It's a long drive. So
No, he would have
Even-
had to simultaneously have sprung something.
yeah, even if you know, they did take Voronezh, that how you say it? My bad.
Voronezh?
Voronezh. There you go.
Voronezh.
There you go. Thank you very much. My apologies. But anyway, so even if they'd taken that, Putin would still have many hours before they would reach Moscow to think about whether or not he would flee. I do not think there's any chance he's fled now.
He still
Very
has,
unlikely.
he still has, like 5-6 hours easily.
I want to say something.
Oh, he has beyond
interesting,
5-6
by the way.
hours. Go on, yeah.
Right. But assuming, they're driving there incognito, whatever, he has 5-6 hours, but they're not going to show up with any heavy equipment.
No, again, they have longer than that. It's 14 hours from Rostov to Moscow.
No, I'm talking about from Voronezh.
Oh, Voronezh. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
I do want to bring up something because I think I saw word about this morning, and I want y'all's take on this because I've just remembered it, and it's interesting. Someone was commenting on the fact that they were seeing a fuck ton of flights recently out of Russia's Far East. Specifically, that he hadn't seen this tempo of movement since the beginning of the war, like right before the beginning of the war.
It was about
It might be completely unconnected, but it's interesting. Okay, RFF 82251 is it's a Tu-154.
That's a transport.
Yeah.
154.
Is it possible Putin's dead? This one kicked it off? No, I highly doubt that
No.
Putin is dead as well.
Putin is not dead.
We would have heard
That's-
that from Prigozhin if
That's too
he would
funny to be real.
He would also absolutely be using that as material for the coup. He'd probably
They've
say that
killed the
MOD
Tsar!
did it.
Vengeance will be ours!
Exactly. They killed the Tsar. Now we have to stop them. Yeah, etc.
That would be the end of modern Russia. Like in an instant, it would disintegrate immediately, overnight.
Yo, here's a question. What would stop one of the? Let's say you're one of these Rosguardia guys, and you see the Wagner guys go by. How long would it take for one of them to say just sign a contract and actually join in? Would it be possible that they going through going from location to location, picking up people along the way?
They'll definitely be having people join them, but no one's gonna be signing contracts, obviously.
No, there's no
If the
time
coup
for
gathers
paperwork.
steam,
What is he, fucking Napoleon?
As I
He
said,
probably styles himself that.
it's Valkyrie at wish.com is what it is. Operation Valkyrie at wish.com. It's literally a case of Operation Valkyrie went wrong for a number of reasons for the army because the community.
Oh shit! Go on. Sorry.
Go ahead, Remy. Go ahead.
No, I just saw a thing that just came across the thing, which is apparently Prigozhin saying that Shoigu has ran from Rostov.
He said that at the
2100
beginning.
hours. Yeah, he ran cowardly like a woman to avoid explaining why he raised helicopters to destroy our lads when he dealt the missile strikes. Yeah, so
He's
I'm guessing that-
shit.
I'm guessing he was already not there in the first place.
Yeah,
He was not there.
he left
Yeah.
ages ago. But it is one of those things where Operation Valkyrie went wrong in a lot of ways. Well, they didn't manage to actually kill Hitler. That's problem number one. But problem number
Biggest
two is
problem.
biggest problem. Yeah.
Mhm.
But the other problem is the communications team, the right communications office basically defected. They had to pick a side because they worked out it was a coup, and they had to work out: do we support the Wolf's Lair, which is Hitler's headquarters, or do we support Stauffenberg's coup? Do we support that? And so you're going to have a bunch of situations like that. The only way Prigozhin can really sort of actually, quote, win is if enough of the infrastructure around the Russian MOD defects to him. And I don't know if he's got the clout for that.
No,
I don't
think
think
he
Break
does.
up? No, he doesn't.
No,
But-
we'd be surprised. He is remember, it was quite recently. People are more interested in him recently than Putin, and he's constantly been building a
Because they're looking for an
public
out.
image in. Well, yeah, but that's for the Russians. When you like think about it, you're going at this point. You're Russia, who's stuck in this war for fucking what should have been 3 days is now over a year. You know, you've likely known many family members who died rather.
Bits.
And
Thank you, Min.
Say again.
Min just gave me bits.
Oh, sorry.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, so you're looking at this kind of situation from if you're a Russian who has had basically no fucking hope for a while and things are looking pretty dire, and then you have this guy coming along saying, "Oh, I know who did it. These are the bad guys. You know, just work with me and we'll throw him out." And he's the guy who's been pretty popular, who's been passed around online on Telegram and shit constantly. I think he's got pretty good odds. I think he's got a lot better clout than you'd think.
I think that people are going to lean into him because, like, you talked earlier
Yes.
about like the strongman mindset. Well, yeah, there's a lot of
Exactly.
disinfo brewing in Russia, but if there's one thing that like a disinformation laden authoritarian culture loves, it's an even stronger strongman with louder rhetoric about protecting the homeland from internal and foreign invaders. And that's exactly what he's doing here, right? He's doing this perfect, like, every Russian soldier is a little baby boy who's been betrayed by the MOD. The MOD don't give a shit about you. I've been here. I've been in the fights, right? I feel like, what's the name of that Chechen guy, the monster?
Kadyrov.
Right.
Kadyrov.
I feel like he's trying to do that energy, but he's doing it way, way better.
Yes, very true.
The thing about populist sentiments, right, is they don't usually go backwards. They get more frenzied and radicalized. They don't back down. They don't usually back down naturally, right? So the only way to out Putin is to go, or to out MOD is to go far harder.
He
right?
might have the
like,
balance, right? Because on one hand, he's saying to like the upper crust, the oligarchs, the business leaders, the bourgeois, like, okay, we can curtail this conflict, which is costing you money. And on the other hand, to the wounded Russian people, it's like, oh no, we have not lost this war. We've been betrayed by an incompetent MOD. And they're the ones who really caused this. So in a way, he's kind of like wedging himself to appeal to both sides, whereas the MOD offers what? Stability? But Russia doesn't have that. So they don't have an argument, basically.
Do you guys see the front line of the front page of TASS right now?
Nope. I'm managing the stream. You're gonna have to tell me.
Okay, so here's the 4 stories on the front page. Number 1, Prigozhin charged with armed mutiny to face up to 20 years in prison. Article 2, criminal case opened against Wagner head amid threat of escalating confrontation. FSB. Number 3, Sergei Surovikin calls on Wagner to peacefully resolve problems. Number 4, Prigozhin's statement call for civil conflict, stab in the back of Russian armed forces. FSB.
Increasingly concerned.
Oh, wait, here's what I'm getting. Russian Defense Ministry said Kyiv took advantage of Prigozhin's provocation and his Bakhmut.
That came up
announced the
very
holding
soon afterwards.
Sabinin announced the holding of an anti-terrorist measures in Moscow, case against Prigozhin, and the FSB calling on members of Wagner to detain Prigozhin. And hold on a second. A column of military equipment is moving along Highway M4, which is the highway that we keep seeing all these roadblocks on.
Yeah, and we have geolocated. We've got geolocated pictures now coming in from sources I trust, like OSINT Technical. They are at least 350 kilometers north of Rostov now. They are actually fully
they're
in Voronezh.
moving.
They're actually in Voronezh at the moment, which
we heard gunfire.
Oh my god! Good. Wow.
They're schmoving.
I got nothing. I have got nothing.
It
What?
feels.
Say it.
I don't even
Say
know.
it if you can't speak it. Come on.
I'm just like, I have. this is unthinkable.
Take a fucking breath, mate. Come on.
This is unthinkable. I do not believe that Wagner actually has a shot because where Voronezh is the key highway interchange into the Donbass near Kharkiv. That means that if they take Voronezh, Wagner controls both major highways into the Donbass.
They already control the only major highway. There is no major highway.
Wait, aren't there nukes stored there?
Yes.
Oh, that's not good at all.
No. Oh shit, they're gonna get more fucking liquid fuel to drink.
Also, I saw someone ask, why is Vaush here? Because I am an equal opportunity content creator who says you are allowed in as long as you want to dunk on Russia.
Yeah, hey, listen, as long as you're on the payroll of the CIA, you're welcome here. That's the deal that I signed.
What about
a hole from me.
Vaush, I'm gonna steal your office one of these days.
The CIA at least pays us.
I'm in a bedroom.
George Soros doesn't.
Don't think I didn't see those donuts you stole. Those are supposed to be for the office.
To be honest, even
He stole the donuts.
Wagner is restricted just to Rostov. That alone is enough for them to stabilize the situation and hold a serious rebellion. Like, again, at this point, the Russian army, if it was just Russian army versus Wagner, sure, that'd be fine. But the Russian army has the vast majority of, especially its heavy equipment, things like tanks, aircraft, anti-aircraft, all that artillery, for example. All of that is in Ukraine. Right, so if Russia is looking to actually push them out of Rostov, first of all, they have to deal with the fact that those units now don't have logistics. They have to pull them off the line. No matter what, Russia is in a terrible situation here. I do think Wagner has a very good shot of succeeding. I think unless they make a critical mistake of some kind or somehow get caught out when their columns get destroyed on the highway, unless something like that happens, I think Wagner is likely to see either victory from this coup or Russia as a whole is just going to collapse from
It's going to collapse.
the whole situation.
I'm betting on collapse. Also, here you go. Here you go.
I can only dream.
Look.
Fuck, that one's good. Oh, fuck.
Oh my god.
I'm tweeting that one out.
Allow me to
Start the live stream.
Of course I will. Behold, chat, the true summary of this entire situation wrapped into one image.
Hold on. Hold on. This implies that we should be rooting against him because I've read some of those 40K books, and I think this Horus guy had some pretty bad ideas, actually.
No, it's all right. He's actually a good guy.
It's fine. It's fine. Papa Nurgle, etc.
Deep lore,
I think, the fact that this is happening alongside the counteroffensive too, because if you think you're like a fucking Russian conscript on the front lines right now, and you hear bits and pieces of this, you don't know who you're going to be taking orders from next week. You have no clue. The last thing Russian soldiers need, if anything, is additional breakdown in chain of command, organization and clear instruction.
That's the situation you hear. Everyone's in the trenches at this point. Literally, all of us, they've gone from sitting in the trenches, being ready, knowing exactly what they're going to do. The Ukrainians are coming. They have to stop them. Now they're all staring at each other. What do we do?
That meme now implies that there's going to be some Russian general commanding troops in the Donbass who's going to run to the rescue and be like, hey, Putin, we need to stop these guys. And then Putin's going to think he's responsible, and we're going to have a whole burning of Prospero situation. The burning of Donbass, just woof.
I hope. Because
the
thing is, that's not unrealistic. There are going to be people in charge of who are liked within the Russian military who are going to side with Putin. And they're not about to exactly let Wagner just do this unchallenged.
Does that make Shoigu Lehman Russ? Anyway, sorry.
In the sense that he's fucked, yes.
Yeah.
Reading the lore and realizing that not many people in 40K lore actually come out good on the other side of things.
When
there
it comes
is no
to
one
these,
in 40K that
to these
comes out looking good.
breakthroughs that Ukraine has succeeded with, some of their best successes have basically just been, it's whenever the front line breaks and then they're moving through with the fast Humvee units. That was the real success in Kharkiv, was just the Ukrainians would never actually assault a Russian position. They just drive around it, and the Russians had no idea what the fuck was going on. And before they knew it, they were surrounded. Things were going badly, and you had mass desertions, retreats, that kind of thing.
The minefields are the only thing that are keeping Russia in the game here, because the Ukrainians can't do that.
Again, a big thing as well is the defensive lines. They know where the Ukrainians are. There is no like, the Ukrainians are actually behind us freak out right now. The Russians aren't having that problem right now. But as I said, now with the coup, you're now facing a situation where a Russian soldier is looking at, not only does he not know when his logistics are going to show up, and the answer is they aren't because they're being used to fight Wagner. He doesn't know if Wagner soldiers are going to come shoot him from behind, if the Ukrainians are going to come shoot him from the front, or if his mates are actually with the MOD or the Ukrainian, or with the Wagner rather.
There's too much uncertainty.
The average soldier is having a very bad day right now.
I guess the question
and that is absolutely what the Ukrainians are going to take advantage of, because
outside of the MOD would want the MOD to win. Like, who actively wants Wagner to lose? Whose interest is it in?
I would say
the FSB.
Yeah, okay. Well, fuck those guys.
Chat is amazing right now. Kadyrov cares.
Oh God, shut up.
Oh, that's another person who doesn't want Prigozhin to win. Kadyrov doesn't want him to win. That's another person who doesn't want him to win.
No, 100%.
That's actually the interesting point. How is Kadyrov going to play this? Because he's been Putin's biggest cheerleader. He's going to have to pick a side on this.
Don't worry, he's going to hit the gritty on TikTok, and everything will be fine.
He has to pick Putin. He cannot pick Prigozhin.
He can't. No, he's
Putin's bad dog. The only reason he's in power is because of Putin. His own country hates him.
Yeah. No, 100%. Chet, if Putin falls, right? If Russia falls into chaos even slightly, you'll see Chechnya revolt.
With one more,
actually a very good one I want to bring up. Ender Marine just said in chat is something I was wondering was, what the fuck are the DNR and LNR thinking right now?
Well,
they look like those police officers on the corner of the road, basically.
Oh, Kitty got information. Give us some.
They closed the border.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
They're letting them out, but they're not letting anyone in.
Oh, what?
Wait, can you link that?
The LPR, wait, what?
Yeah, they closed the border with Russia like 10 hours ago.
Oh,
doesn't that mean that they?
Have you got a source on this? I mean,
yeah.
I sent it earlier. Digi probably saw it, or Laserpig probably saw it.
To be fair, I've had a lot of headlines put in front of me in the last couple of hours.
Could you imagine that conversation? The LNR and DNR decide reunification.
I do want to point out. Does that mean that? Because remember, Ukraine's lit. Everyone seems to forget that Ukraine is literally like right there with Donetsk, right? Like right fucking there. If they pushed into the Donbass, would there be anyone there to stop them?
Probably not.
No.
I don't think it's really sunk in for me, like emotionally, how big of a fuck up this is.
If they've closed the border,
unless you want the war to end quickly, in which case this is the most painless way to do it from the perspective of the Wagner group. Yeah.
But it just seems too good to be true. It's like, is it Christmas?
Does that that would compromise the logistics. If they close the borders completely, they're not letting Russian vehicles back in. They're not letting anything through
because they don't know whose side on who is on whose side.
Yeah,
they have no way of knowing which side each unit is going to fucking side with.
Yeah,
I mean,
the DNR, the latest statements from the DNR that came out of the effectively puppet heads of those states was actually just shitting on the MOD. Believe it or not, I think they haven't spoken in a long time, but the last statements I read out of them were like they were making fun of the Russian conscripts.
Oh fuck! They talked beforehand. This was planned, wasn't it? They talked beforehand.
I mean, I think it's not unlikely, but they did say, to quote from the Dino and Ella, it was something along the lines of, we've survived for, 8 years without Russia, which is not true. And they're like, we'll continue on without them in the future.
No, because they're like
statement that they're making.
They're like Rhodesians. The Donbass like separatist dudes are all like, yeah, we got here by the skin of our own teeth, and we don't need and they're going to get bowled the fuck over. They don't realize.
I mean, to be fair, they've literally lived in the Russian propaganda sphere for the last 8 years.
Yeah,
I definitely.
I'm so hyped.
I think I could definitely see Prigozhin somehow befriending or siding with the DNR and LNR, only because some of his opening statements were about how much the Russians have destroyed the Donbass, and about how like there was some statement about how much they've exploited it for resources and shit like that. I could see him, why he's kind of trying to appeal to them. Though I think that they're most likely going to sit this one out.
Man, they really don't want us to pay attention to the evidence that Hunter Biden engaged in a tax crime. They really set this one up, huh?
How big was that man's cock that they needed a distraction this large?
And with that, boys, I think I gotta go to bed for the night.
All right,
Have a good one.
have a good
Okay,
one.
thanks,
Have a good one.
thanks for having me. It was
Sleep
a
well.
pleasure. Take it easy.
Yeah,
Oh
it's all
my
good, thank you.
god.
Later.
Oh my god. Especially
Okay, so the only thing this thing says is it's reported that the borders from the DPR to the Rostov region are closed. It doesn't
Right.
specify a direction, though. I'll be frank. I think all the borders are likely closed right now. I think the most likely thing is just that Wagner forced their way through, and
Oh,
it's
dear
not
God,
like a
thank
border
you.
guard is going to try
Let me
and stop
let me
them.
open. Let me check the original telegram.
The Telegram. I'm
Budinov
on
ordered
Telegram right
Prigozhin to
now.
execute
I've
Order
actually checked the
60.
Telegram. There's nothing more. Unless there's more
No,
posts in the
no,
Telegram
it's-
channel itself.
is- So
you know what?
they're banning anybody from leaving into
Where?
Russia. Into
Oh
Russia.
boy. Oh boy.
Well,
Yep,
that's
right,
interesting.
Brandon. That's right, Brandon 6287. You are actually witnessing human history live on a VTuber stream. Welcome to the future.
This is
Oh, no.
there are so many ways that could be interpreted, like what their intentions are or what they're attempting
Yeah.
to achieve. It sucks all this is going to end as soon as Kadyrov posts his next like leather bear daddy TikTok highlight
Th-
to defeat
This is like
Wagner.
when I listen. This is like when I listened to the live to the announcement of the death of the Queen in Rust on a radio inside the game.
There's something so fascinating to me just about all of these civilians who are very fine with standing upright around all of the machine gunners who are fully down, like bipods deployed, covering roads, and you just got civilians walking up to the machine gunners holding an iPhone filming them.
Yeah, but to be fair, how long have they had to watch military equipment roll through, right?
I mean, yeah, okay, but okay. As someone who just was in said war zone, you normally don't walk up to soldiers and film them. They don't like that.
That's in Ukraine, though. This is
Yeah,
Russia.
I'm just that's why I'm amazed that the Wagner are okay with this. I guess that's kind of part. I guess they are okay with it being filmed because it shows them
in control.
succeed.
Yeah.
Right, you want that as the coup.
Yeah.
You want to look calm, cool, like friendly. There's OSN literally posted a photo of one of the tank gunners like doing a heart with his hands, like putting.
Yes.
Yeah, like
I'll do you one I'll do you one better right now. I just
Wait,
saw
Remy,
this.
you were in Ukraine? Yes.
Look, this just got posted. Look at that
Is
link.
that, it's a person sweeping the street. Yeah, I saw that.
The person sweeping the fucking street behind the
because they said
the
this.
armored vehicle.
They said like, we will not shoot children. We don't want to fight conscripts. The MOD is getting you all
Yeah.
killed. Like they're hard in on this. Like we're not bringing guns to the MOD. We're bringing flowers. And if they fight us, we will kill them. But we're bringing flowers.
We'll kill them all with these guns we also brought.
Right. Yeah. Contingency.
yeah.
They're optics
Oh my
frogging.
God.
This is interesting. This is I mean I honestly wonder what's going to happen like when I wake up tomorrow. Like it's going to be a late night. I mean, I'm glad this happened on Friday, right? Because then I can stay up late, you know? I don't have anything to do until 11 tomorrow. By the way, you should all come. Go to Pumpkin Potion stream tomorrow. It'll be funny. I'm going to be on there dubbing over an old cartoon for fun with some friends.
I'm going to.
That's me shilling completely in the middle of it. Deal with it.
Vouch. I'm vouching. Hell yeah, get that bag. This is the neoliberalization we need to inflict on Russia a second time to ensure their complacency.
An Olive Garden in every living room.
Yeah, a VTuber in every bedroom, an Olive Garden in every living room, and a goddamn bunch of city bikes on every curb.
This is
the
the
future
future
ones that
liberal
you can fucking
flag.
activate with like Uber and shit. You know,
Yeah, I was
those,
gonna
like,
say, Ruby, you know, the one that's appearing in all of our cities now. Those like scooters that we can ride around.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna put my contribution to the meme war here in shit talking. Here's my contribution.
Guys, the Aussies are talking about how weird the country is again. Oh my God, you're right though.
It's like
Someone said, someone actually asked earlier in chat, does this count as the first corporate war?
yeah.
Well, no. I think you have to go back to like the East India Trading Company for that. Maybe.
That's a good
good
point. The first
Also,
21st
like,
century corporate war.
I mean,
The
even
Africa-
that's maybe not. I don't know, because like, it depends on what you class as a war. There's been a lot of mercenary wars in Africa where the war was effectively fought just by mercenaries.
I mean, that's where Wagner got most of their fucking money.
Yeah,
I mean, that's literally what Wagner was doing. Yeah, a lot of that.
Stealing gold.
Poland's greatest fighter ace made his fortune after World War II by literally becoming the head of like various African air forces throughout
like
Africa.
setting them up for them.
Very common post
Yeah.
World War II. Lots of guys just going out there to do merc work.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Rostov update.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah.
So it appears that Wagner has blocked off, judging by traffic and everything that seems to be blocked off, an area about 3 square miles or about 4.8 square kilometers in the center of the city.
I think it's okay. I mean, they're going to keep putting down roadblocks. I don't think the roadblocks are going to stop Wagner by any chance.
No, they're expanding it, as in the area,
Someone has made a really great point on Twitter just here. Because of datelines and how they work, technically speaking, this whole situation started on June 22nd, which is deliciously ironic. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, no, not necessarily, because it kicked off about. He started
about
12 hours ago, roughly.
Like I started hearing the rumors of it at about 11:30 p.m. Like as we're starting to get ready for stream.
I was walking. I woke up at around I was up at probably I had like a nap. I was taking a nap from my day job, right? Because I work from
12
home.
hours, and it's about 7 a.m. now in Moscow. So.
Yeah, I don't think it was June 22nd.
I was using my lunch break for a nap.
No,
and I woke up and poof.
Here's a question: how many soldiers would it take to actually hold a city like Rostov? I mean, there's 1 million people there. It's a big city. How many soldiers would Wagner actually need to hold it?
Okay, it very much. The biggest question there is: do the civilians want them there? Yes or no? And that decides the question.
I'm seeing. Rumors again. This is speculation,
This might
right,
be
based
fake.
on vehicles, but that there's MOD vehicles intermixed with the Wagner stuff, which could imply that some of the MOD forces in the city have changed sides.
Absolutely, or implied that they've been taken, which is also
it
just
could
as
be.
likely.
And they could have just grabbed the equipment, right? Like that's Also, I saw that tweet. If there's a Russian Civil War II, I'm forming a Czechoslovak Legion to steal a Russian train full of gold. I was gonna think earlier. I'm like, yep, Russian Civil War II. They pull out the armored train, the Zamoritz, literally out of storage in Vladivostok, where it's been hidden all these years, and roll back the other way.
To touch on the whole idea of holding populace, though, just in terms of how much soldiers you need, I believe there was one of the American generals did a really good presentation and study on how many soldiers you'd need to occupy Ukraine, assuming that Russia took all of Ukraine. How many soldiers do they have to place? And it was basically I think it was just under 1 million.
He literally laughed at their initial war plan
because just at the end of the day, the Ukrainians don't want them there. If the Russians are okay with Wagner, which at least at the start of the coup, I definitely think, we're not seeing a situation like in Turkey where we have civilians in the streets chanting against the Wagner coup. We don't have anything like that. All of the Russian civilians thus far that we can see are very happy to sit on the sidelines and wait. So in terms of controlling the city, the only thing that Wagner has to do is outmatch the MOD forces, and they are very capable of doing that.
What's interesting is one of the main things that's protected Putin has always been political apathy amongst Russians. And now this is actually a weakness for him.
Yeah, no, the nihilism that Putin has instilled in the entirety of the Russian populace down to the bone has come back to bite them.
Yeah, well, that's the problem.
Because they don't care.
With the strongman situation, right? It's you need to instill in the citizenry conditions that allows them to accept the shit that you do and don't do, right? And that means that there isn't an authentic ideological support for your continued existence. It's just the strongman, and that's a role that can be filled by other people.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck. It's fuck you, I got mine, literally down to the individual.
Political apathy has been a massive problem in Russia, not only now but for centuries. I mean, seriously. For the Russians in general, ever since the feudal period, the feudal period and Ivan the Terrible and all that sort of thing, all the way through World War One, World War Two, the Civil Wars, all these various times. It's very much the life for the average Russian has always been not, oh, I voted for this guy or this party's in power or whatever. The life has been which warlord is in charge right now and doesn't really matter. It's sort of the same thing as like World War II was a bit of an exception for obvious reasons of German foreign policy, which we all know about, probably don't want to talk about on a Twitch stream. But generally speaking, it's always been a case of which feudal lord or warlord or authoritarian hellscape government is in charge, and which one do I report to every day for my shift? That's basically it. So
who pays my salary? Yeah,
it doesn't really materially change Russian living conditions that much. Who's in charge? It doesn't.
I think a big
That's
problem.
true. I mean, true, because the only money flow that has really ever mattered in Russian history is everyone else gives money to Moscow and St. Petersburg. That's about it.
A big problem has always been like the country is so spread out. The larger your country is, the farther away you are from a center of power. This is why federalization is such a big thing, right? United States, like down to the city level. But then when it comes to like with Russia, like it's so incomprehensibly large. I think that I don't think it's conducive to good civil society. You want local representation and for it to feel like it means something. And this seems to be like a consistent obstacle, right? We have the same thing with Lenin, because you can do that like local grassroots organizing when you're raising a Red Army. But as soon as you have to like, you kill the Tsar and you have to like sit down and build a government, it's like, oh, okay, well, in reality, like Lenin is governing from one of like 3 cities with a large number of people and the millions of people in the countryside. Yeah.
What is Joe? Sorry, like Vladimir, the plumber from Vladivostok, give a fuck about what Lenin is doing in Moscow. He may as well be on the moon as far as he cares. What he cares about is, am I going to continue to get paid?
Yeah.
Can I afford to heat my fucking cabin this year?
It's the Soviet Union. The answer is no.
What I think, if what looks like happening is happening, I think one of the big factors that's going to decide how this goes is whether or not the public and a lot of the police units, militarized police, sees this as a conflict between Shoigu and Prigozhin, or a conflict between Prigozhin and the entirety of the Russian government, and Putin included. Like if they see this as a conflict with Putin as well, I don't think it's going to be as lenient. If it's Shoigu, I don't think anybody's going to die for Shoigu.
If Wagner can keep expanding on what Vaush was saying, for the average Russian, as long as they get their paycheck and as long as life stays roughly the same, they don't give a rat's ass who's in charge. They have no dog in the fight. They haven't had it since ever. The Russians have never had a dog in the fight in terms of how they're governed. So really, all that matters now is if Prigozhin can keep the organs of the Russian state and the Russian economy in his controlled areas functioning, and the people won't care. They'll just say hello to contractor Wagnerite instead of Corporal Conscriptovich every morning when they go through the checkpoint on their way to work. That's the only difference between the two. Literally it. So that's going to be if Prigozhin can keep.
You think we can get?
Sorry, please carry on. You finish first.
That's the whole. That's the whole thing. If Prigozhin can keep his economy together, it doesn't matter. The Russians won't care.
I was just laughing. It's a Shushko tweet, so it's not potentially true, but my God, I'm laughing if so. It's apparently that the Akhmat battalion has been told that's Kadarov's special boy battalion. He's been jerking off for the last week.
Which one? There's 3 of them.
I don't know, but it just says the Akhmat Special Forces Battalion has been tasked to stop Prigozhin from reaching Moscow. I see that as quite likely as being possible. If that is really true. I think Kadyrov is going to have to side with Putin. I think he's one of the ones that Putin can rely on to be on his side. But fuck, it's going to be funny if we see those guys fight.
I don't.
So
the enormity. I'm just sort of struck by the enormity of this, right? Like, it is. I do not think it is even possible to actually, like, we could speculate all we like, but I don't think it's possible to plot out all of the different effects that are about to come out of this. This is one of those black swan moments.
Guys?
Yeah?
One of those Rostov videos with the BMP3 that we were talking about earlier, there was a T90M there as well.
I want to comment on that. I don't think we've been seeing more T90Ms, both in terms of seeing videos of them and seeing them get destroyed. I know we were talking about this earlier, right? Like earlier in the week, like what can we draw from that? I think it's the case that they've run out of the ability to easily like bring out shit out of mothballs, and they're having to use more of that high-tech equipment that they've been trying not to use.
It's a possibility, but you also have to realize something else. The T90M production line has been running.
This is true.
It's easier to continue producing something you're already making than it is to dedicate space to something you're not.
That's true. That's true. To be fair, I think their production has been pretty curtailed.
The production number for the T90, I believe, is not that great, even considering the increases recently.
Also, sanctions, and I know they've gotten around a lot of it, but they can't replace everything.
The latest Russian equipment rolled off the production lines.
Really quick. Sorry, fellas. I'm afraid my sickness has overtaken me. I've got to go.
No.
That's all right. Hey, thanks for stopping by. Genuinely.
Thank you for the invite. Been a delight. Good luck. Putin dies tonight, etc., etc. Have a good time.
We'll all toast tomorrow if he does.
Good. Oh, yeah. Keep me in the know.
Yep.